Threesomes, the ultimate fantasy that can turn into the ultimate nightmare. Look, threesomes can be incredible, or they can blow up your entire relationship. The difference comes down to a few key moves that most couples are completely ignoring. This episode right now is going to be your playbook for having mind-blowing threesome experiences without destroying everything that you and your lovely lady have built together. Because when threesomes go right, they're legendary. But when they go wrong, you're Googling those divorce lawyers, all right? So let's make sure that yours goes right. Welcome back to The Naked Connection. This is the show that supports driven men to reach sexual mastery and build deep connections. What's up, you guys? It's Kirsten. And before we go any further, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button and maybe even leave the show a review, because the more reviews the show gets, the better the show does, the more the show is shown to the world, which all means the more amazing men like you get to learn, grow, and become legendary. So hit that subscribe button right now. Now look, I have seen couples come into a session after threesome experiences that were so traumatic and horrible, they were seriously considering divorce. So before you jump onto Reddit looking for that unicorn or start sliding into someone's DMs, we need to talk strategy. Today, I'm going to share the essential framework for having threesome experiences that actually can strengthen your relationship instead of destroy it. And trust me, the difference between success and disaster often comes down to just a few key principles that most people aren't paying attention to. So grab your coffee or whatever gets you going and let's get some. Let's start with a hard truth that no one wants to hear, but everyone needs to understand. Most couples are not ready for a threesome. I know that's not what you want to hear when you're fantasizing about this experience, but it's often the reality. And the couples who jump into threesomes before they're actually ready, they're the ones reaching out to me 6 months later trying to salvage their relationship. So the very first principle is this: your relationship foundation must be rock solid before you even think about inviting someone else into your bed. What does rock solid mean? Well, it means both of you feel completely secure, valued, and prioritized in your relationship. It means you've mastered communication around different topics. It means that zero unresolved resentments or major relationship issues are still present. Because here's what happens when you have a threesome on shaky ground. Every insecurity, every unaddressed issue, all the bits of jealousy somehow get amplified by about 1,000. I actually had a client, we can, for anonymity, call him Jeremy. And he had really wanted to have a threesome, talked to his girlfriend about it. She was kind of unsure and somehow convinced her to have this threesome because he thought it would spice things up. The problem was she'd been feeling really neglected and undervalued in their relationship for months. And she'd been kind of like harboring that and trying to figure it out for herself, if what was really going on for her. So when she watched him give intense attention to another woman during their threesome, it confirmed every fear in her being that she had about not being good enough for him. The threesome did not spice things up. It actually ended their relationship. So before you start browsing those profiles or talking to potential thirds, do an honest assessment. Are we both feeling completely fulfilled and secure in this relationship right now? If the answer is anything other than a resounding yes, consider waiting. You work on your foundation first because threesomes don't fix relationship problems. They expose them in the most brutal way possible. I think sometimes people do this with kids. They're like, oh, let's have a kid and it will fix things. It's like, what? No, right? So I think this is a similar situation, but in the space of inviting in a third, but this time it's like a sexy woman. or man, who knows? So pause and ask yourself that question. I think a great way to think about it is our relationship cup full? Because if it's full and we want it to overflow, you're in a very different space than our cup is like, I think there's a hole in the bottom of it and we're about halfway. But maybe if we put this third person in here a couple times a year, that might add a little water in. Do you notice how different that is? So do that check with yourself. Assuming that you have done the work, right? Maybe you were initially a no to that question. You did a lot of work and you feel like now our relationship is really stable. It's rock solid. Assuming that you've done that work and you're both genuinely excited about exploring together, let's talk about finding that right person. Let's be honest. You want to be that man. The man that she can't stop replaying in her mind. The man who makes her breath catch, who leaves her dripping with anticipation, who has her begging for more before you're even touching her. Here's the thing. Great lovers, they aren't born. They are built through skill, through presence, and through deep confidence that radiates in and out of the bedroom. That is exactly what my Legendary Lover training gives you. This isn't a list of bedroom hacks. It is a rewiring of who you are as a man, how you carry yourself, how you own your sexual desires, how you step into sex with complete freedom and clarity. In the Legendary Lover training, you will learn practices that expand your confidence, sharpen your focus, and ground you so deeply that she feels it in every touch, in every look, and in every breath. Because when you master yourself, she feels it. And that is what makes you unforgettable in bed. I have led countless men through this training and through these practices, and they have walked out completely changed, more confident, more commanding, and more sexually magnetic. And right now, because I'm launching this for the first time, you are going to get in at a discount that I will never run again. So head on over to thenakedconnection.com/lover, LOVER, before this discount disappears. Don't just be good in bed. Be legendary. This is where most couples make their second major mistake. They think any attractive person will do. Wrong. The person you invite into your experience ought to be someone that both of you are genuinely attracted to and comfortable with. Not just physically attracted, but someone whose energy and personality work for both of you. And this is harder than it sounds. You might love confident, dominant women, while your partner might prefer being in the space of a more gentle or submissive type of energy. You might be drawn to the more mysterious, artistic type, and your girl might be attracted to that straightforward, athletic kind of guy. Here's what doesn't work. Taking turns. Okay, this time we'll pick someone you like, and the next time someone I like. Trust me, if one of you isn't genuinely into the third person, the whole experience becomes awkward and potentially triggering. You'll spend the entire time watching your partner with someone that you're not attracted to, or you'll be on the other end of that, noticing that your partner is feeling left out. So take your time finding the right person. This might mean months of looking, talking, and getting to know people. That's not a bug, it's a feature. The anticipation and planning can actually be incredibly hot and bonding for you as a couple. Sometimes I think fantasies are so fun to talk about and play out in your mind that by the time you get to it, you don't even necessarily feel like you need to engage in it or want to engage in it. Part of the idea of the fantasy being so erotic and arousing is it's because it's something forbidden. So maybe play with that. Allow the anticipation and the planning and the excitement to be part of the arousal and of the pleasure. So now let's talk about safety. Maybe you found your perfect unicorn, they're out there, and they are ready to play. You want to play safe. because this is where a lot of couples get a little bit sloppy and it can have some serious consequences. When you're inviting a virtual stranger into your intimate space or someone that you've just met or kind of know, you're taking on additional risks that you really want to address head on. So first, sexual health. Have honest conversations about STI testing, about recent sexual history, and what protection you'll use. This isn't just a conversation about condoms for penetration. You could consider gloves, dental dams. Are they on birth control? Like all of the things, really understanding about what's happening when hands move between different people. And I know it's not the sexiest conversation, but you know it's really not sexy? Dealing with an STI outbreak 3 weeks later. Second is looking at that emotional and physical safety. You guys know on the show here, we talk all the time about how important emotional and physical safety is for a woman to have incredible pleasure and orgasm. You're inviting someone that you don't know well into your most vulnerable space. So have a video call first, meet in public, trust your instincts, and if anything feels off, just pause. Don't proceed. And have a plan for how the evening will end. Talk with your partner and with the third. Will this person stay the night? How will they get home? What if you want them to leave earlier than planned? How is that going to go down? These conversations might feel awkward, but they're really essential for everyone feeling safe and respected. One of the things I respect the most about people that explore open relationships and open dynamics in whatever variation or level that may be is that couples that do it well have immense communication skills. They are willing to have the conversation that we might think is awkward, but it really actually isn't when you get into the thick of it. So building that communication skill and that comfort with having some of these conversations is going to be really helpful down the road. All right, so now we get to the fun part. Setting boundaries and expectations. This is where you and your partner are going to have some of that deep, honest conversation about what you're both hoping for and what you're absolutely not okay with. So there are so many things to consider here. So I'll plant some questions for you to start that route. Are certain sex acts off limits with the third person? Is kissing okay? What about oral, anal? Are there any positions that feel too intimate to share? How do you want to handle protection and safety like we talked above? Or what if one of you wants to stop in the middle? How are you going to communicate that and how are you going to proceed? Is ongoing contact with this person, this third person, okay afterwards? Like, how do we want to assess and continue, if we want to continue connection with them, what does that look like? Is this a one and done situation? Like really having conversations about all of these things. And here's a crucial piece. What happens if you develop feelings for the third person or they develop feelings for one of you? Having answers to that question before it happens is going to be really, really helpful so that if for some reason that does come up, you've already established what you plan to do as a partner, as a relationship. So don't assume that you know how your partner will react to things. You might be really surprised by what she's okay with or not okay with. I've seen guys who were totally fine with their girlfriend being penetrated by another man, but got incredibly jealous watching her laugh and connect emotionally with him. I've seen women who encouraged their boyfriends to explore with another woman, but felt devastated when they saw how attentive and gentle he was with her. You can't predict every trigger. It's like impossible. But you can create a framework for handling whatever comes up, because something likely will. And here's something that most people don't think about. You really want to have the same boundary conversation with that third person. You need to understand what's okay and what isn't okay for them, and understanding what their boundaries are too. Just because they're the third coming in doesn't mean that they don't have a say in the dynamic. So speaking of building that rock solid foundation that we talked about earlier, If you are realizing that you and your girl need to level up your communication and intimacy skills before exploring something like a third, I've got something that can help you. My Legendary Lover training program is designed specifically for men who want to master not just sexual technique, but the deeper skills of connection, of communication, and of sexual confidence that make you really irresistible to women. So, because here's the thing, the guy who's had the most success with advanced sexual experiences like threesomes, they're the ones who've already mastered fundamentals of how to create safety in a space, how to build trust with a partner, and how to communicate their desires effectively. So if you want to become the kind of man that women completely feel safe expressing themselves with, and maybe it's more than one woman, check out the Legendary Lover training. Head on over to thenakedconnection.com/lover to join today. You can find all of the, trust me, the investment in these skills will pay off in every area of your intimate life. Now, let's talk about the actual experience of how to make it amazing for everyone involved. A mistake that couples often actually make during a threesome is forgetting that there's a guest. You and your partner likely already have established a dynamic, you have inside jokes, you've got a rhythm going between the two of you. That third person is stepping into that without any of that history or understanding. So make some extra effort to include them, checking in with them, and making sure they feel desired and valued throughout the experience. This doesn't mean that you are going to ignore your partner. It means you're consciously managing the attention and energy to keep everyone engaged. And here's a practical tip that can really change your experience. So focus on giving rather than receiving. When you're not sure what to do next, or when you're feeling kind of left out in a moment, shift your attention to what you can offer the other people in the room. So if you're starting to notice that you're feeling jealous watching your partner with someone else, focus on what you can give to both of them. Maybe that's a massage. Maybe it's creating a more sensual atmosphere. Maybe it's joining in with touch or words of encouragement or caressing a different part of their body. This does two things. So it keeps you actively engaged rather than stuck in your head with negative thoughts. And it positions you as someone who adds value to the experience rather than someone competing for attention. So let's address the elephant in the room, performance pressure. Guys, if you're with two women, you might suddenly worry about satisfying both of them. And women, if you're with two men, you might feel pressure to be some kind of sexual superhero. But here's your permission to slow things down. Threesomes do not need to be porn-level athletic performances, right? In fact, the best ones often involve a lot of slow, sensual exploration, kissing, touching, massaging, building anticipation. If someone's having trouble getting hard or getting wet because of the pressure, don't make it a big deal. Shift the focus on pleasure that doesn't require erections or wetness. There's so much that you can explore with your hands, with your mouths, and creating pleasure, creating touch. So the goal isn't to check every sexual act off some imaginary list while you're having this threesome. Make the goal to be to connect, to experience pleasure, and to share exploration. We are really moving through a lot here, and I want to make sure that we talk about something that's going to happen whether you expect it to or not. Someone is likely going to feel triggered during the experience, small or large. Maybe you'll watch your partner's face light up in a way you've never seen before, or maybe you'll feel suddenly possessive when you see someone else's hands on your person. Maybe you'll feel insecure about your body or your performance. This is so normal. This is such a human thing, and it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. The key here is having strategies for when these feelings do come up. So first, remember that feeling triggered doesn't mean you need to stop everything immediately. Take a breath, reconnect with yourself, and see if you can work through it in the moment. Second, use your agreed upon signals or words to communicate with your partner if you need support or if you do want to pause. And then third, remember that your partner chose to be here with you. This experiment about new experiences doesn't diminish their love for you. And so holding on to that as you move through it. And here's something that again might sound kind of counterintuitive. Try to find appreciation for your partner's pleasure, even when it's with someone else. So the opposite of jealousy is this word called compersion, which is to feel happy about the pleasure of another person, simply stated. And I know that's some advanced level thinking, but when you can genuinely feel happy seeing your partner experience pleasure and excitement, it transforms the entire experience from one of really kind of competition to one of celebration. And after your threesome, you absolutely want to debrief with your partner. I would say that this is not optional. This is really like relationship maintenance 101. So set aside some time within a day or two to talk through the experience and, give a little space between the experience and when you sit down to have this debrief, exploring what felt amazing, what was challenging, what surprised you, what would you want to do differently next time? Will there be a next time? Will there be a next time with this person? And the critical part here is that if either of you feel hurt or uncomfortable at any point, talk about it openly. The goal isn't to determine who was right or wrong. The goal is to understand each other's experiences and figure out how to really move forward in a way that actually strengthens your connection. Maybe you've discovered that certain acts feel too intimate to share. Or maybe you've realized that you need more check-ins during the experience. Perhaps you found out that your partner needs extra reassurance afterwards. Or maybe you recognized, we decided we didn't want them to stay the night, but we kind of felt weird sending them home and we both wanted them to be there. All of this information is such gold for making future experiences even better. So some practical do's and don'ts that can make or break your experience. First, take time to build connection with your third person before jumping into sex. Stay present rather than getting lost in fantasies or comparisons. Communicate throughout that experience, not just before and after. And do show appreciation for everyone involved. As for the don'ts, avoid using alcohol or substances to deal with nervousness that you need to be fully present. You really want to be fully present. Avoid comparing yourself to that third person. Avoid recreating that porn scene unless everyone's explicitly into that. Do what you can not to ignore your partner's needs while you focus on the new person. And don't assume that this experience means you're ready for ongoing non-monogamy. Before we wrap up, I want to make one final note. Threesomes, they are not for everyone, and that is completely okay. Some people discover through fantasy or discussion that they're genuinely not interested in sharing their partner with anyone. Some realize that their jealousy or insecurity is too strong to make it an enjoyable time. There's nothing wrong with deciding that monogamy or no longer having threesomes is what works best for your relationship. So resist allowing that social pressure or even partner pressure to push you into sexual experiences that don't align with what is true for what you want. Here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. Threesomes can be incredible experiences that bring couples closer together and create amazing memories. But they require preparation, communication, emotional maturity, and a really solid relationship foundation. If you're going to explore this, do it right. Take your time, prioritize your relationship, Focus on everyone's pleasure and comfort, and remember that the goal is connection and fun, not some performance. All right, that is it for today's episode of The Naked Connection. If this topic brought up questions or you want to share your own experiences, please drop a comment below or slide into my DMs. Let's talk about it. And if you're ready to take your relationship and your sexual communication to the next level, do not forget to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss a single episode. Remember, great sex isn't just about technique, it's about connection, communication, and being brave enough to explore what you really want. Until next time, this is Kirsten, and you guys, let's get some. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Naked Connection. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Trust me on this, your sex life and that special someone in your life will thank you for it. And if you really love the show, please take a moment and leave a 5-star review or a written review and let me know what you think. It would mean so much to me and this show. Until next time, happy connecting.